Hi, it's Esther Kane from SeniorSafetyAdvice.com. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about a story, and it's about being honest with yourself and also honest with your loved ones, family, friends, whomever. But before I get into the story, click on the subscribe button if you haven't yet. That way you can get notified of our new videos that come up. And they're very informative and educational, not only for seniors, but for family caregivers of seniors as well. All right, so being honest. So recently, a friend of mine, his mother is in her late 90s, and she's been living alone in her home for many, many years and doing very well. But in the last year or so, there have been just a few little incidents occurring, a fall here and there, leaving the stove on with a pot on it, leaving a faucet on for too long and water damage coming, as a result of that. Just little incidents throughout the year that should be an indication that his mother needed a little more help than what she was admitting to, and what the family was admitting to as well. And I get it. It's very difficult to admit that you can't do simple things anymore, that you need help. It's very difficult for family to admit that their loved one is growing older or to a point where they need more help. I get it. I understand that it's very difficult. But at the same time, the end result is usually not very good. As an occupational therapist, I would see a lot of those end results. Patients falling to a point where they injured themselves, where they could no longer go back not only to their home, but couldn't even go back to an assisted living facility. They had to be put into a nursing home because of the severity of the injuries that occurred. Or, as a result of burns, because the house burnt down because they left something on the stove for too long, or any other number of crazy stories that I came across working with seniors in rehabilitation and in hospitals. So this story touched me, reminded me again that it's difficult to see these things when you're in the midst of it, and it's difficult for family members to see them as well. That's why it's always so important to get a third-party evaluation, be it a neurologist, a physician, a occupational therapist, a physical therapist, just to get an honest evaluation of what cognitive and physical capabilities the person has and how the environment should be restructured for them, whether it be in their home or whether they need to go someplace else that can accommodate what they can continue to do. Because that's important. It's important for everyone to continue to be useful and purposeful and be able to do what they can do. Anyway, so my friend's mother had to be moved. It was evident that she needed to be moved to someplace else. And she said she wanted to go to an independent living facility because she felt that she could still do everything that she needed to do. Bathe herself, dress herself, all of that. So she passed the evaluation at the independent living. I don't quite know how that happened, but she did pass it. But within the first week, the independent living facility contacted my friend and said, "I'm sorry, but your mother cannot stay here any longer. She is not capable of doing the things that she needs to do for herself. She needs too much help, and she's already fallen 3 times. She needs to go to an assisted living facility." So now, after the expense of, moving her to the independent living and downsizing her furniture, now she had to go to an assisted living facility, downsizing even further, and the expense of moving her again to another facility, all within less than 30 days. Not only that, but just the sheer stress of finding a facility that she could move to. So they did find one, a very nice one, and she went into that. But within a day or so, that facility realized also that she could not walk as far as she claimed to be able to walk. So she could not walk to the dining room. She could not walk to activities. She could walk to the bathroom in her apartment, and that was about it. So that meant now that she needed a wheelchair, and she needed extra assistance from the assisted living facility, which meant an extra cost on top of the regular fee for the assisted living. So within 2 weeks, she contracted COVID. Now, she could have gotten it from another resident. She could have gotten from family members that visit other residents, and she could have gotten it from her own family that came to visit her. It could have, or even the staff. I mean, it could have come in any which way. But the point was, in her late 90s, she now contracted COVID. So, of course, that, took her down a bit. She had fever, flu-like symptoms, that kind of thing. That meant that she was in bed. And she doesn't have a private aid. It's not a nursing home. Someone isn't coming in all the time. So she became dehydrated to the point where she became delusional, to the point where she now had to go to a hospital. So off she went to the hospital, got hydrated, got, fixed up. All her vitals are actually very good. And they sent her back to the assisted living. But again, she needs now 24/7 care. So now on top of the fee for the assisted living, the family is now having to pay for a private aid 24/7, which, as you may not know yet, not sure, but it can be quite expensive. So both of those are stressful for the family, to say the least, and to her, to the mother as well. I mean, being moved so many times within such a short period of time. Of course that's going to be stressful. And not being able to participate in activities and do the things that you thought you were going to be able to do once you move to this type of a place. So now it seems like she may have some form of dementia, which is not so unusual in your late 90s, but what level, we don't know as of yet, because as of yet she has not been fully evaluated by anyone to assess what she can and cannot do. She wasn't feeding herself, but now it seems to be that she's getting a bit better, but still she cannot walk and does not have the strength to sit up for very long. So the moral of the story is that before you make a move, before you decide to make a major change in your life like that, like moving to another, be it some kind of a retirement community or whatever, get an evaluation by a third party. Again, as I said, your physician, a neurologist, an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, and be very honest with yourself and your loved ones about what you can and cannot do, and how that, if you do have any incapabilities, is that a word? If you do have any areas in your life where you have trouble, be it putting on your shoes or picking up pots, to cook or anything at all, be honest about what you can and cannot do and try to modify that particular task so that you can continue doing it, but realize that as you grow older, it may get worse to the point where you just will need some assistance and help, and try to plan for that. It will save you so much money and so much stress and time, and for your family as well. So I always used to tell my patients, if you really love your family, you will let them know what you can and cannot do. Don't try to pretend, don't fake it, and let them help you as much as they can and as much as we can, as the professionals can. So that's the moral of the story. I hope that this story helps you and your family. I know everyone goes through it, and I get it. I understand. Everyone wants to, help their parent to age gracefully and as independently as possible. But it's also very important to be safe. And I understand that, many adult children let the parents do what they want to do. But unfortunately, for many of us with older parents, at some point, we become the parent. We have to, because we can see from stepping from the outside, hopefully can see it, that more help is probably going to be needed or is needed for that person. So I get it. I understand. But I hope that this story helps you and your family, as I said. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.